So, why are we here today and why are we talking about this topic versus many of the other topics we could talk about? It's a sad story right now in that Graduate Careers Australia released data recently showing that the employment rates of graduates from bachelor's degrees are the lowest they've been in 20 years. So we have a task ahead of us, and it's so affirming to see so many of you from so many different stakeholder groups here today, particularly the students. And we have first-year students here with us as well, who are taking care of this right now, saying, what can I do to stand out and make sure that I'm employable? So when we look at graduate employment rates, they're dropping. As we went from 2012 to 2013, this is another view of what David showed us just a few moments ago, in that each of those lines went down between 2012 and 2013, and there's no indication that they're going up again as we go 2014, 2015. It looks like they're still going to go down. So we have our work ahead of us to make sure that we take care of this wicked problem and do whatever we can to really lift graduate employability and never let it rain on graduate employability. So how do we increase graduate employability? That's the critical question here today. So what did we do for our research? We had over 700 valid surveys returned, and we had over 80 in-depth interviews. So we spent an hour with students, graduates, employers, and educators and career development professionals, over 80 of them, and interviewed them from 4 stakeholder groups and all 8 states, territories, and some international. So the main question that we asked on the surveys, we asked 4 different questions and we gave them the same data. So before we designed the surveys, we went to the literature and we said, what are the strategies that have empirical evidence that they lift graduate employability? And we listed those strategies on the surveys. So we asked the students, we said, which of these strategies do you plan to do? We asked the graduates, which ones did you do? We asked the employers, which ones matter? Which ones make applicants stand out to you? And we asked the educators, which ones, and career development professionals, which ones do you provide or support for your students? So I'll highlight, I won't go in detail on this because you can pull it back off your USB, but just a couple things to highlight. Really, really interesting to me, look at the bottom line. Work experience, internships, and placements. So 74% of students said they planned on doing one. 74% of graduates said that they had done one or something like it. And 87% of the employers said that's what will make a graduate stand out or a student stand out to us. So who's missing? We didn't put the ones that were under 50% on the table. Now, that does not mean that your teachers, your professors do not value internships, but that they're not able to provide them. So that's our main recommendation that's come forward from the surveys and really replicated through the in-depth interviews, is that we need to put more resourcing into internships, placements, and work experience, because that's going to make the difference. And one more interesting thing from here is that look where the students and graduates said mattered and who didn't say it mattered. So the students and graduates about halfway down said part-time employment. The educators and the employers didn't. But look where they did tick. Extracurricular activities, 65% and 60%, educators and employers. There's a discrepant view there. So what we followed that up in the interviews, and they said that really part-time employment, here's something controversial, maybe come up with a question afterwards, but the employers told us that they see part-time employment as the means by which, it's back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, Sometimes students, by necessity, have to work part-time in order to get themselves through university. But if they don't have to, they'd far rather than put that time into joining leadership, taking leadership positions on student societies, joining the student association, doing volunteer work, doing those extra plus factor that are really going to give them those attributes, those employability attributes. So here's my tips for you. Start early in your first semester if possible. Participate in work experience placements and internships. Don't let those possibilities go by. Join extracurricular, student societies, club, competitive sport. Do volunteer work related to your career pathway. Get to know your professors and your Career Development Center personnel. Graduates, less is more. Do not blast out 100 CVs with a cover letter where you've only changed the name of the employer. It does not work. You need to choose some that you really have a cultural fit with and really get to know them. Search their website, get to know who they are, who you are, and what you can offer to them. Edit, and edit again, particularly your online applications. I had at least 2 employers, if not more, say to me they don't even read your CVs or your cover letters. They get so many applications that they're not even able to move on to your CV and cover letter. So where does it matter? That online application. Do not write C CV or C cover letter because you'll be binned. They'll move on to the next person. They want you to answer the questions that they've given you. Participate in industry graduate initiatives when offered. Know yourself and practice articulating, demonstrating your personal employability brand. Brand yourself. Stand out and be something spectacular. Remember that interviews are two-way. Do you fit the organization and do they fit you? So students, seek out and fully participate in employability initiatives. Graduates, be strong alumni and success story ambassadors for your uni because the ones who come behind you are going to be compared to you. Educators, prioritize graduate employability. Make it a learning outcome. Employers, welcome graduates and continue lifelong learning opportunities.